time for our Crime Time segment. We take a look at criminal stories from around the nation, then get some insight and perspective from our own experts who we bring in. Let's show you who we've got tonight joining us. Retired Los Angeles Police Department Sergeant Cheryl Dorsey is with us. Cheryl started with the LAPD in 1980. She worked in patrol and specialized units, including gangs, and she promotes social justice advocacy. And also with us, retired police officer Vince Champion. Vince served 22 years as a police officer, handled homicide reconstruction, trained fellow police officers as a firearm instructor, and is currently a police union representative. Vince, Cheryl, thank you so much for being here. Let's get right to our first story from KPAX in Missoula, Montana. A man attacks 4 people on a hiking trail.
It's only been a few days since 4 people were allegedly attacked at a popular hiking trail on Mount Sentinel. Already, the defendant's brother is speaking out, saying the assaults could have been avoided.
The suffering that that poor young boy, that mother, and that those 2 men up there experienced, not to mention the witnesses, is just unfathomable, and it should have never happened.
Jared Kuntz has been charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault, assault on a minor, and assault with a weapon for fracturing a woman's skull on the mountain and attacking other hikers with a rock last Friday.
The day of the incident, my mother fielded another really bizarre and threatening call from my brother. She called probation and parole immediately. That was at 12:35.
Around 2:30 p.m. on Friday, authorities were called to Mount Sentinel for their first reports of the attack. Kuntz says he has proof he and his mother made numerous phone calls to probation, Missoula police, and the mental hospital in the days leading up to the attack.
To my knowledge, no one at any point tried to deter my brother.
Kuntz recently took to Facebook to express his concerns.
I just can't take it anymore. Our family has suffered. These people have suffered, and I was just willing to put it out there in the light, to let people know that our family has suffered silently for so long, and tried to help others in the community to avoid this to happen to them. And in this case, it's the victims that I haven't slept in 3 or 4 days, and I'm tired. I'm tired of the broken system.
Well, here's the question. Can law enforcement take action when they get warnings like this? I mean, this is very frustrating because his brother knew something bad was going to happen here. Vince, let me start with you. Can law enforcement take action when they get these calls from family members who know that another family member is having some mental issues and could be potentially dangerous?
Yeah, and actually in this case, it's even a little better because he's on probation. Those officers have a lot more leeway of getting into the home and getting there and talking to people. And sure, we could have teamed up with, law enforcement could have teamed up with parole and probation and definitely got into that house and looked a little closer into what exactly was going on. And, at least in the state of Florida, if he's threatening the life of himself or others, that is grounds to take to the mental ward at the hospital for at least an evaluation.
Cheryl, this is you could hear the frustration in the brother's voice, and he knew that his brother was just a danger out there. They tried everything they could. I mean, did they do anything wrong? The brother and the mother, should they have called someone else? It seems they did all the right things here.
Well, listen, here's the deal. We're making a lot of assumptions because, first of all, I don't know whether or not this person made any threats. And a lot of times people who are suffering from mental illness can get lucid in front of authorities. Sometimes they know what to say and what not to say, more importantly, to avoid being detained for 72-hour observation if they're a danger to themselves or others. And they've exhibited that kind of behavior in front of family, but yet when authorities get there, they get right. And so not having any reason other than he's misbehaving in the absence of authority, they have rights as well. And while it's unfortunate that this happened, how would officers know that he was going to be on that mountain, that he would do the things that he did without some extra information from the family that could, number one, put them there and keep him away from others who he might harm, absent a threat?
Let's get to our next story from WTVF in Nashville, Tennessee. A mother seeking answers in her daughter's killing.
You will be brought to justice, and justice will be served in my daughter's name.
That name is Ashanti Posey, known by those who loved her as Ace.
I want everybody to remember the great things about Ace, the fun times about Ace.
But her young life was cut short.
They called her sister's phone. They called her sister's phone on FaceTime, and they told her sister that they had shot her and killed her.
Police say Ashanti was riding with a friend Thursday night near the intersection of Green Lane and Whites Creek Pike when someone started shooting at the car.
They robbed my baby of the opportunity to play at a higher level.
Amber Posey says this was no drug deal gone bad. She says her daughter was a Hillsborough High School senior with 2 jobs, and the only game she loved was the game of basketball.
She wouldn't have got a second job if she was a street kid. That's just not what street kids do. They don't try to make money the honest way.
Instead, Ashanti was a sister, friend, teammate, and a young advocate for the LGBT community, a reason Posey believes her daughter was a target.
And sometimes just being different is not accepted in society. It's just not.
Posey says as long as there is air in her lungs, she will fight for her daughter.
I don't care if you gave the person the gun, if you gave them gas money to get to where my baby was, I will bring you down.
I want to start first with the investigation here. Should it be easy to track down the person if they confessed on a FaceTime call, Cheryl? It seems that, the sister got the call and a confession. I mean, we should be able to track these people down pretty quickly.
I think this will be an easy one to solve. It sounds like there's some history because, first of all, how would they know to FaceTime the sister but for they have information, a telephone number, a way to get in touch with the sister? So there sounds like there's something going on in the background that we may not be aware of, and identifying the person that shot and killed this young woman should be very easy to do.
Vince, a heartbreak and anger at the same time for this mom. And I know that she wants to find the killer. She wants them brought to justice. And I know she's actually been talking with investigators and giving them information. How much does that help when you've got a mother who is totally invested in helping find the killer here?
It's a great help. We always tell anybody that's willing to step up that the smallest things may be what sets us off. And as the other guest said, this should be fairly easy because they have some knowledge of, phones to call and different things. And with the mother being there and being able to talk to her on a regular basis, she, as long as you pick her brain, eventually, I believe something will come out of that and they'll be able to get the person responsible for this.
Cheryl, if you were going to speak with Ace's mom, what would you say to her? What advice would you give to her as she goes through this difficult time but is dealing with a lot of emotions?
Well, first I would want to express my condolences as a mother myself. And listen, I don't have to give her any advice. This is her baby. And so she's going to do everything. She's going to turn over every rock, and she will be diligent and persistent, as she should be, in bringing the people that took her baby's life to justice.
When we come back, a heartbreaking story, a pregnant woman, domestic violence. We'll give you the details, and they're not good.
Never, ever thought that he would do this. I didn't ever think he'd pull a gun and kill her or leave her like that. When I found her, I didn't think that this would really did shock me that I seen her like that, because I did not ever think that from him at all, because
he's the mother of his kid.
she's the mother of his kid.
Brutal case of domestic violence involving a woman who's 7 months pregnant. It's the next story we're going to talk about here in our Crime Time segment. We bring in our own experts to give us some insight and perspective. Still with us tonight, Cheryl Dorsey, retired LAPD sergeant, and Vince Champion, retired police officer and police union rep. Next story from KERO out in California, but in Bakersfield. Domestic violence incident leads to a fatal shooting.
The victim has a gunshot wound. The victim is pregnant, currently starting CPR, 78 right for.
The family, as well as the Kern County Sheriff's Office, confirms that 34-year-old Adriana Rivera is the gunshot victim of a domestic dispute that occurred around 8:30 p.m. Sunday on the 7800 block of Florence Street near Weed Patch. Rivera, better known as Audrey, was 7 months pregnant. Deputies say she got into an argument with her on and off boyfriend, 36-year-old Javier Vidal, who then shot her, leaving the scene with her 2-year-old son, Elias Vidal, causing an Amber Alert to be issued.
The suspect going to be the victim's boyfriend, Javier Vidal, who fled with their 2-year-old juvenile.
It wasn't until 11 p.m. that 2-year-old Elias was found at an unknown location without his father. It was 30 minutes after finding Elias, KCSO also located his father, Javier.
At around 11:35 on the 2900 block of Taft Highway. When we located the suspect, he started firing at us. A SWAT call-out was initiated with the assistance of Bakersfield Police Department and California Highway Patrol. The standoff lasted till approximately 4 a.m. At 4 a.m., the suspect was declared deceased.
No law enforcement officers were injured, but the ordeal left Rivera's family devastated, but grateful that both of her children had survived, though her newborn son, Josiah, is fighting for his life on a breathing machine.
These next 24 hours are going to be critical, so we're asking that everybody pray or send good vibes, energy, whatever it is that you do. We just ask that you please do that for that baby, and not just that baby, all of her children.
And this is a big picture issue. Is there any way to help domestic violence victims before it's too late? And we're getting word tonight that the baby, 7 months, was taken off of life support. So this is a tragedy across the board. But Cheryl, this story's out of California. Let me start with you. Big picture, is there a way to help domestic violence victims before it's too late?
Listen, I'm a survivor, and so I can tell you there are myriad of reasons why women stay in abusive relationships. And unfortunately, there probably were red flags. He's on again, off again boyfriend for a reason. And I don't know why this young woman didn't get away from him sooner. But until and unless a victim has had enough, there's not really a whole lot anyone can do to intervene.
Yeah, this is frustrating, Vince, you know, on several levels. But she's 7 months pregnant. The child doesn't survive either. Now there's other children don't have a mom. They don't have dad either. He's dead now as well. Let's talk about the standoff. You got an Amber Alert. You're chasing, looking for a child. It ends up in a standoff. Those things are, I mean, someone who's in that state of mind is going to be difficult to take alive.
Absolutely. You know, at that point, you don't know what's in their mindset. He's already shot at least one person that you know of. He's, you know, taken a child. Your biggest fear when you're in those situations, if you don't know what he's going to do with the child, is it going to become a human shield or those, you know, those type of things. Fortunately here, the child was found safely and is going to survive. But you know, as far as what can be done, the sergeant is absolutely right. It's really frustrating for us in law enforcement.
All right, next story from WCPO, Cincinnati, Ohio. A man allegedly kills 4 people in one day.
William Bowen III was one of those people killed Friday. I spoke with some of his family and friends, and although they say the arrest will help them cope a little bit, they say it doesn't do much to fill the hole his death leaves behind.
We all just hurt at the end of the day. We just still, like, we can't believe it.
Friends and family of William Bowen III gathered again Sunday to remember the 28-year-old father taken too soon.
He was a good person, and we're gonna hold it down, and we all gonna sit together.
His family came together Saturday, too, when William Bowen II started to come to terms with the reality of burying another one of his sons.
What can I say? Buried my oldest son 20 years ago. He got killed. I don't want nobody to go through this. You or nobody. Horrible.
Cincinnati police say 42-year-old Alto Miles shot and killed Bowen III and 47-year-old Michael Leaves Friday morning around 4 a.m. on the 3600 block of Reading Road. Investigators say later that same day, Miles killed 56-year-old Bridget Carter and 35-year-old Tasia Mason at an apartment on the 800 block of Clinton Springs Avenue. The two murder scenes are less than 1 mile from each other.
The murders that's going on right now, like, is just ridiculous. Like, we all black folks at the end of the day. We need to come together and stop killing each other. You killed this man over nothing.
Bowen's friends and family lovingly called him Chill, and they say they'll remember him as a loyal friend and devoted family man.
He was there for everybody. He won't never, if you needed something, he was there for you.
4 people in one day. How do you piece together what happened here, Vince?
Well, you can first by trying to get the suspect to talk, but if not, you're going to have to do a lot of footwork and try to find out. One of the first things that would be good to find out is, do these 4 people have anything in common? What ties them together, if it is just the distance, or what brings them to have confronted and had this gentleman in front of them to kill him? There's got to be something there to start with, and then just go from there.
Cheryl, how would you approach this one?
Yeah, witnesses are going to be your best source of information, those who were present during the commission of the crime and those who know not only the victims, but the suspect in terms of what happened moments before, days before, and maybe weeks before that led to this violent outburst. 4 people in one day doesn't happen just by happenstance.
You know, talking about witnesses here, Vince, you know, if this person has allegedly killed 4 people in one day, I could see witnesses, you know, being a little hesitant in coming forward because they don't necessarily trust that this person will be held to justice and they could be the next target.
Right, and that's one of the hardest things that we have to do is, you know, you've got to convince the witnesses and talk to them that their help is what's going to keep that person there so they can't get out of jail to come and take any retaliation against them or anything. But the gentleman at the end of that clip has it right. You know, you just got to quit. It seems like there's been a lot of issues in that neighborhood by the way that clip goes. And I think you won't have a problem finding a witness within that neighborhood that they sound just fed up and they want this to stop.
Vince Champion, Cheryl Dorsey, great having you on. Great to get your perspective. I appreciate it. And I hope you come back and please stay safe out there.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. You too.